So this is section 3 of chapter 8, and we will talk about ways of limiting the confounds that may be caused by individual differences. And the good news is that most of this will be review from the last chapter. We already covered these topics, but we'll talk about them again. And so the three techniques for limiting the confounding effects of individual differences and creating equivalent groups are random assignment, matching, and holding variables constant. All right, so one approach for creating equivalent groups is random assignment. And so this is when you assign individuals to your treatment conditions using some random process without any systematic bias. And the purpose, again, is to create groups that are roughly equivalent to one another. Now, many people will also use what is called restricted random assignment, and this is done to ensure that your groups are of the same size. And so this is important when you are comparing scores across groups. You want those groups to be the same size or of a similar size. Now, the limitations, as we talked about, well, you are putting this process in the hands of chance. And chance may not always work the way you want it to. And it's possible that just by chance, you still end up with groups that are not truly equivalent, where one group is older or smarter or wealthier or something else. And also, this is going to work much better with larger samples than with smaller samples. The larger the sample, the better this technique works. The smaller the sample, the worse it's going to be. So another approach is matching. And this is when you match individuals in the group on some specific variable. And so, for example, if the variable is age, if condition 1 has 20% of the individuals between the ages of 18 and 25, then you see to it that condition 2 also has 20% of people between 18 and 25. So this involves 3 steps. 1, you identify the variable or variables that you want to match. 2, you have to collect those measurements. So if it's IQ, for example, then you have to collect the IQ scores of people in your sample. And 3, then you assign people to conditions to ensure balance across that variable between your conditions. Now, the limitations is this will require oftentimes extra work. You might have to collect extra measurements as indicated by step 2. And also, this becomes a huge headache if you begin dealing with multiple variables that you want to match on. If it's 1 variable or 2, that's manageable. But matching on 5 or 6 variables becomes extremely difficult and complicated. And so the other approach is holding variables constant. So for example, if you're concerned that age may be a confound, well, one approach here is to recruit people that are all roughly the same age, either exactly the same age or more realistically within a range of ages that you have specified. And so this removes age as a potential confound, but it also limits the external validity of your findings because it's not clear if the findings will generalize to other age groups.